Hello everybody, welcome to Wheel Trouble's Let's Play Riven. This is a game from Ubisoft, as well as Cyan Studios. This is the sequel, the direct sequel to Myst. So, if you haven't seen the Myst, I recommend watching through or playing through Myst first, otherwise you will be lost. There's going to be a lot going on at the opening here, a lot of backstory, so I'm going to duck out, stay out of the way while that goes on. I will see you guys after the introduction.
Thank God you've returned. I need your help. There's a great deal of history that you should know, but I'm afraid that I must continue my writing. Here. Most of what you'll need to know is in there. Keep it well hidden. For all reasons you'll discover, I can't send you to Riven with a way out. But I can give you this. It appears to be a linking book back here to Dunny. But it's actually a one-man prison. You'll need it, I'm afraid, to capture Gan. Once you've found Catherine, signal me, and I'll come with a linking book to bring us back. There's also a chance, if this all goes well, that I might be able to get you back to the place that you came from.
Yo? Mafia di gaje. Kaware po. Modo go wipo me po. Tagema. Rekoa. Tagema busu rekoa. Misirapo. Umutika bukuwa nai. Misirapo. Umutika bukuwa nai. Bukuan ay. Sirap. Bukuan ay. Bukuan. Bukuan ay. Bukuan ay.
Alright, did everyone catch all of that? We're going to go ahead and read through this journal here, if I can click on it. '87, 6, 10. They held for more than 30 years, but the corrections I made to Riven have finally failed. The island has resumed the familiar pattern of decay that is the hallmark of my father's work. I must now race to implement this new patch before it's too late. I only hope that my revised theories are sound. 87, 6, 16. Revisions to Riven completed. There are still a number of minor adjustments which need to be made, but the basic corrections have been entered and should be working. Something's not right. I've been monitoring the instruments for several hours now, but have thus far observed no change. It's possible that I've made an error, though I've checked my entry against my prenotations and find no discrepancy. I've not had a rest in nearly 3 days, so it may be that I'm just not seeing it. If the fault is with my foundational assumptions, however, perhaps after a short rest I will see something. 87, 6, 18. Success. It appears that my repairs have been effective after all. The gateway image has become noticeably clearer, and although it is impossible to know this with absolute certainty, the island seems to have quieted itself. Just a few more weeks of work, and I should be free, at last, to go there myself and attempt to bring Catherine back. The past 8 months have left me little time to think, to devise a strategy for getting her out of there. I've received no sign from her in all that time. I'm afraid that... No, I must assume that she is all right, lest my fears undermine my efforts to bring her back. 87, 6, 19. I did not create the Age of Riven, unlike my father. I have never presumed to have such power, and yet the future of all those who live there has fallen onto my hands. So far, I've managed to read the page before it turns. The island continues to appear stable, and I would like to believe that I have saved a dying world. But the theories of one individual cannot support the lives of real people indefinitely. I must get everyone off of... Riven as soon as possible. The problem now is Gen. I'll never be able to rescue Catherine and relocate the islanders if he's still the man he once was. I haven't seen him in over 30 years, but his history forces me to assume that he is still a threat. His myopic mission to restore the Denis civilization has left too many innocent cultures dying in its wake, and would continue to do so were he to once again be free of the confines of Riven, or the Fifth Age as he coldly titled it. The universe has been safe from his corruptive influence for the last 33 years, because no one has been able to leave that age, the last linking book out of Riven having been lost in the star fissure upon my return to Mist. That was my intention, to maroon my father on Riven by removing all the existing links to other worlds, and since the art of constructing books had long been lost with the fall of the Denis, he would be trapped there for the remainder of his lifetime, and effectively segregated from the countless other worlds that he would have invaded. In effect, that is what we achieved, but the way it fell, however, was no one's ideal. Though the sting of the incident has gradually faded from my memory, the deep pain of responsibility for what actually came to be has never left me. At the time it all seemed so clear. Gen's destructive path could not be allowed to continue. But it was never my choice that the innocent inhabitants of Riven, who had already suffered so much, would be the ones to pay for it. Enough. To dwell in the past is to die in the present. The situation is not the same as it was then. The knowledge I've acquired in the years since that time has yet to be applied to this problem. 87, 6, 20. I think I have the solution. Why it did not occur to me sooner, I do not know, unless the idea of it had been pushed out with the thought of my sons. A prison book. Many years ago, during a hunting expedition through the ruins of Denis, I chanced upon a formula for a most unusual type of book. Unfortunately, due to the fact that my father was then in the habit of confiscating my discoveries, I was forced to leave it behind. Years later, however, as part of my efforts to protect the vulnerable worlds linked to the books in my library, I was pleased to find that I could still recall most of the formula, and with little experimentation quickly succeeded in creating one of these devices myself. The procedure is actually quite simple. By altering key lines of text but slightly, a normal linking book's connection can be partially severed, such that anyone who attempts to use the book will be permanently trapped in the dark void of the link. That is, unless someone else then uses the book, at which point the person would become trapped, and the first person displaced back into the world. The technique can be applied to books that have already been written, changes to the original text being so slight that anyone who is unfamiliar with the code will be unable to detect them. If indeed my father has not changed, what better bait could there be than a book that appeared to be a link back here to Denis? 87-7-2. Trouble. My nightly analysis of the island's condition has revealed that the tremors have begun again. The pattern, however, is new. The disturbances are the result of the changes I have made. This did not, at first, concern me. However, tremors of this type were one of the possible side effects that I had anticipated during this initial phase of the island's readjustment. Still, in order to verify my assumptions, I decided to calculate again, incorporating the new data. The results were not what I expected. The damage to the understructure is more extensive than I'd realized. I can no longer go to Riven as planned. Catherine, forgive me. 87-7-3. I must act while I still have time. The signs are barely visible, but there is no question that the island's deterioration is accelerating. Total collapse is imminent, unless I can keep ahead, and that is becoming increasingly difficult to do. 87-7-5. With every passing moment, I gain a clearer picture of the incredible chaos that my father's economy of words has yielded. But it is a dismaying process. The complexity of the problem is overwhelming. There is no end to this. The last few days have all but convinced me that the collapse of Riven is inevitable, and that, at best, I can only strive to delay it now, and hope that at some point the island will become stable enough to risk a rescue attempt. 87-7-7. I think I've come up with a way to subdue the tremors. It will require my exclusive attention for at least a month or two, so it may be necessary to discontinue these journal entries for a while. 87-7-13. Something truly miraculous has happened. Beyond all conceivable probability, somebody has finally found my lost missed linking book and has freed me from this prison. I immediately realized that this could be the solution to my dilemma, and I believe my mysterious benefactor is willing to assist me. I'm still not sure it can work. The logistics of such a scheme are formidable, but the mere fact that it may now be possible for me to continue my repairs to Riven, and yet proceed with my original intent to find Catherine has given me renewed hope. 87-7-16. The last few days have left me little time to work out the remaining problems with sending someone else to Riven. It did occur to me, however, that if a way could be found to signal me once Gen had been captured, it would no longer be necessary to take a real linking book to Riven and risk the possibility of inadvertently releasing Gen. The deteriorated state of the gateway image makes the use of a visual signal impossible, but the picture remains a reliable indicator of Riven's condition nonetheless. By measuring and interpreting variations in the noise patterns, I am still able to observe basic changes that occur in the age, even though I cannot see them. The problem is that my instruments can only detect changes that occur on a fundamental level, and it seems unlikely that an individual could effect such an elementary change from within an age. The idea may be foolish. Still, there is a known weakness that may be worth investigating, an anomaly that appears as a rift between two separate systems, the star fissure. But how, or even if this fact could be exploited, I cannot say. Sending someone to Riven also means that once I received the signal that they were ready to return, I would have to leave my writing in order to take a real linking book there myself. However, provided my father was safely out of the way, this should take very little time. After that, assuming the island does not incur much damage in my absence, it should then be a relatively simple matter to hold it together long enough for Catherine to return to Riven and evacuate the remaining islanders. Predetermining a signal without knowing the topography of the island may prove to be impossible. but I'm afraid there can be only one answer to the question of whether or not I should send my friend to Riven with a way out. The potential for failure will be greatly diminished if the prison book is all that is taken there. I'm sure my father is expecting me to bring a linking book to Riven. May he not be disappointed. Okay, and in that, Atris has given us everything that we need to know in order to get off of this island and actually beat the game. So we need to trap Gen. Once Gen is trapped, we need to signal Atris by exposing the star fissure, which will break down the rest of the world. That's a big fundamental change. And then once that happens, Atris will then do what he needs to do to evacuate everybody off of the planet. Hopefully in all of this, we're able to return home. Alright, let's do some exploring and see what kind of damage we can do. This is an interesting little chamber. A lot of beetles. Let's see what we can see here. Looks like somebody writing. Probably Gen. And this beetle has a linking book. Let's see what the next beetle has. That's 2 of the 3. I mean, 2 of the 5, sorry. A bunch of people, probably worshipping Gen, or maybe that represents the people here on Riven. Who knows? And some guy holding his arms up like a deity. That would be Gen. Talk about megalomania. And Gen with his worshippers. This guy has some major problems he needs to work out with himself. And that brings us back to the start. Well, that doesn't tell us much other than the fact that Gen is a nutcase. Let's do some exploring around here. What does this button do? Okay, so this turns the room 20% of a rotation. For those of you that want to actually figure out how many degrees, that's fine. I don't care that much. And if I hit the button one more time, it should create another path, this time forward 1 to the right. So this puzzle's going to be one gigantic star shape. And there we are. That would lead us to another path, more than likely. Doesn't seem to do us any good right now, though. So we're going to click one more, and if I remember right from an earlier playthrough, there should be another way through on the side. If you noticed when we were walking up this pathway, there was another pathway going down the other side of the hill. And we'll head off to our left. This age really is beautiful. It's a shame it's a falling apart one. And please ignore my very goodly talking. I've been speaking English most of my life, just poorly. There's another one of those nifty looking daggers. And look, we can crawl under the door. Apparently Stranger is in much better shape than I am in real life. And lo and behold, we do. We have a chamber here that goes directly beneath the star fissure aperture thing. Okay, so now that that's done, let's see what happens when we push the button a few times. See if we can't open up another pathway. Okay, and we'll pull this lever, because if you remember, there was a cage in the way. And it has pulled the cage up, so we are free to traverse that other path. Time to see what we can see. If I can click the right button. There we go. And our way is blocked with another door. Hooray. Well, this lever must be important, so let's go ahead and move it. And we'll have to push this 2, 3 times. This is 2. Yeah, there we go. And that takes us back to where we started. We're going to hit it 2 more times and see what we opened up. And there we go. We can enter that massive golden dome. Let's do some exploring, shall we? Figure we can click this a couple times, see where this goes. If I'm not mistaken, though, this should lead us just to that path where we had to go under the door. And sure enough, it does. Let's explore that golden dome. I do apologize for the slow clicking. Part of it is because it does take some time for each screen to load. Also, I'm having to run this in a virtual box, and so essentially I'm running Windows, I believe this one is Windows XP Service Pack 2 inside of Windows 10. So stability is a concern. And this room appears to be a giant sauna. Or steam room, I suppose. Saunas are usually dry. I hope everyone took careful note of that little map. Those different shapes actually represent the 5 islands of Riven. That's going to be a prominent theme throughout the game. Just do a little bit more exploration around here before we call it a game. At least the end of the first episode of this. I wonder if Gen wrote this in, or if he actually had the Islanders build it. I can't imagine one person building all this by hand. What do we have here? This apparently raises and lowers a bridge. Good to know. Let's see. So far, we've only encountered one other lever, so we're going to go ahead and pull it and see what happens. If I can remember where it is. There's those island shapes again, for anyone forgetting. There's gotta be a way to get over there. For anybody wondering, this was the same style of interface that the original Myst had. You guys all got to see real Myst where I was able to walk around. The original Myst was this point-and-click style, which allowed it to look absolutely stunning considering the day and age that it was in. Okay, so I lied. I can't seem to find where that lever is that I need. I thought it was for this bridge here. Guess I was wrong. Oh well. It'll matter later. Let's continue on down that walkway and see what we can find. Seems to be some kind of tracked elevator. That doesn't work. Good to know. And this would be the end of the line. There is another valve. That didn't help this button at all. Well, the only thing we can do is go back and see if we can go find another rabbit trail to follow for a little bit. So up the stairs, back across the bridge, and we'll continue down the other walkway. Still no buttons that I can see on the screen here. Alright, back across the bridge, and that's where we'll pick up the next episode. Lever. Let's see what this does. Oh, hey, there's that bridge we were looking for. We're going to need that back down if we're going to progress any farther. Alright, and that's where we'll pick up on the next episode. Thank you for joining me in this first episode of Let's Play Riven. Wheel Trouble out.